tenure, Duke's won 80% of their conference games in venerable Cameron Indoor Stadium. 225-55 all-time as Coach K home. Here's our Food Line starting lineups. No change for Clemson, and of note, Emil Jefferson's 91st career start today for the Blue Devils.
And it's such an important part of the team, Wes. And what he does often doesn't show up in the box score, although averaging close to a double-double. But he's the key to their defense, and he's their voice.
I think you bring up an interesting point, Mike. He only had 2 points the other night against Carolina, but he did all the details. All the oil that runs the engine, so to speak, runs through the singer from Philly.
Well, this is as good a talking team defensively, and that's the key to defense is communication. And Jefferson is the loudest of the voice. He's in the back line, and he's really directing everything.
Elijah Thomas won the tap, knocked it out of bounds. And the battle with Jefferson. So Duke will have possession here first. Les Jones with Bert Smith and Terry Weimer today.
It's going to be key for Duke to get off to a good start to kind of shake off. And we're talking less than 48 hours from by far their most emotional game of the year.
Allen, who had 7 threes on Thursday night, and here's Tatum. Short, but Jones recovers. No reset of the shot clock. 8 to shoot for Kennard, a deep one from the front. Blossom gained the rebound.
It's the challenges that's presented to Clemson right now. It's just the array of shooters that are out on the floor, but really kind of locked in one on Blossom game, and it's interesting that that he gets the matchup with Jefferson.
Elijah Thomas, a second chance at the offensive window for the Tigers.
Yeah, he's just started the last 3 games. They bring Jete off the bench now, and I feel like he gets into a little bit better rhythm when he starts.
Big fella out of Dallas altered the shot by Allen. Grantham for Thomas, and it's 4-0 Clemson.
And this is an early wake-up call for Mike Krzyzewski right here with the quick timeout.
Mike, the Tigers get a basket in transition from Thomas. Is this Tar Heel hangover a real thing?
Absolutely. I'd say, Wes, it's one of the hardest games of the year, the one afterwards, and then you see, and then just everybody getting beaten down the court by Elijah Thomas. And, you get outrun by another team's guard, that's one thing. When you get outrun by a center, and for Clemson, let's look at their keys. No middle drives, that's where most of Duke's offense comes from, that drive and then the kick out. And for Duke, it's the hangover, Wes. I'm telling you, it's a very draining, emotional game against North Carolina, and that game right after, it's very difficult.
Our keys brought to you by Ford. Clemson with the 4-0 lead, Kennard. And Terry Weimer whistling foul. And it's on Avery Holmes. Brad Brownell, 48 years of age from Evansville, Indiana. Now in season number 7 at Clemson. Tigers have 5 losses in ACC play by 5 or less or overtime, including the 1-point dagger they took from Tyus Battle in Syracuse on Tuesday night. Grantham blocks the shot from Kennard, and then Kennard will be tagged with a foul by Bert Smith on the reach-in.
Yeah, first of all, that was terrific defense by Grantham, who at 6'8" has the size to bother Kennard, and then Kennard, a little frustrated, picks up an unnecessary foul right there.
Little 2-2-1 look here for the Blue Devils. And Sheldon Mitchell, the transfer from Vanderbilt, from Waxhaw, North Carolina, operates the Clemson offense. He came in a moment ago for Thomas, as Sidi Jete has also taken the floor for Clemson. Mitchell to the rim, couldn't finish. Blossom game gives the Tigers a second chance.
A good tip out, if you don't have a chance to go up and grab the rebound, keep it alive for a teammate.
Front rim miss from Grantham.
Really nice recovery by Clemson. They're only going to send a couple of people, maybe one, to the offensive glass, Wes. They want to get everybody back in transition, not give up easy points.
Jefferson with 10 on the shot clock. Reroutes on Jete. Tigers looking to run here. Mitchell skips for Holmes. Kennard found him. Baseline jumper, and Allen the rebound.
A good weak side help that time because Jete had Tatum put underneath the basket.
And the freshman gets Duke's first points. 3 straight double-figure games now for St. Louis rookie Jason Tatum. Took Duke about 2.5 minutes to get on the board, Mike.
Yeah, and that included a little prodding from Coach K in an early timeout.
10 to shoot. Jones knocked it away. Banged it into the backcourt in front of the Duke bench, but Clemson with the shot clock winding down, and Mitchell had to heave it.
That's just maximum effort defensively by Matt Jones. You're going to see him on the ball a lot. And just swatting away. First of all, he gets the strip and then the save up the floor. So at the bare minimum, you're going to get a shot clock violation, if not a turnover.
Duke is one of their first 6 on the floor. Kennard, and tripped up, cutting through, and Luke comes away hobbling a little bit after Sidi Jatay's first foul. Senior from Senegal gives Clemson their second.
See, I don't think he's nearly as dangerous coming off of that curl as he is curling to his left hand, Wes, because he can either swing right into his shot or carry it with a dribble all the way to the rim.
Here is Kennard working against Grantham. Allen. Duke being very patient here in the half court early, Mike.
Yep, and I mean, we talked about it. It's a change of roles for Grayson Allen. He's more primary ball handler this year, and he tweaked an ankle.
Yep, sure did. And Allen to the deck. Boy, he and Kennard have both kind of rolled them here in last couple minutes.
You can see it right here, and that's pretty good too. When it almost goes over to touch the floor, and he's going to go into the back room with the trainer Jose Fonseca to take a look at it. I think that happens more because of fatigue and the quick turnaround, Wes, than anything. You just lose your legs a little bit.
Awesome game. Got double teamed on the shot. Jatay gives Clemson another shot offensively. Grantham working on Tatum. Fall away, air ball. Shot clock violation. Second in as many trips for Clemson. Brad Brownell thought they got a reset on the Blossom game miss. 4 too early, Tigers.
I don't want to put
a video visit to the monitor by the officiating crew, and Les Jones, Terry Weimer, and Bert Smith looked at it, and Blossom game shot.
It was clear that one hit the rim.
Right.
It was the second one that did not.
And in part because of the technology, they did not get a shot clock reset there. Remember, Brad Brownell was litigating when we went to the timeout, so they have not been able to get the time management squared away yet. Looks right around 16 minutes.
Well, it was interesting. The Duke is during this review, and Les Jones is going to call both of the coaches over.
Right. And Brad Brownell, I think, has been told.
So it's going to be Clemson ball with 19 on the shot clock.
Yep. Clemson has gone about 3 minutes, just over 3 minutes without a field goal. They got early buckets from Thomas, who's back in the ball game now for the Tigers. Here's DeVoe from the corner. And Frank Jackson, who spelled Grayson Allen a moment ago, after he twisted the ankle, the freshman from Utah on the floor for Coach K.
Yeah, he had some very good minutes against North Carolina, a tough kid, and he's the one that more than likely will be the primary ball handler out there, but he can't shoot it.
On cue, G-Man, for his 31st triple.
Yeah, and he's a solid on-the-ball defender, a tough kid. And, we got the quick jump right there. Almost got a 10-second count against Clemson.
Clemson started 2 of 3 from the floor. They've missed their last 5. And Shelton Mitchell goes to work. Shot clock at 5. Mitchell picks up on the dribble. Here's DeVoe. Squeezes up the soft jumper and gets the roll.
And they got Kennard on his back that time, and nice patience even with the shot clock running down. It's not an easy jump shot to hit.
Tigers back in front of point. Kennard off the back iron for Grantham. Mitchell. Duke in the man-to-man. And now Blossom game with Jackson on him. Tried to fire it across to Grantham. Tatum got a hand on it. It'll stay with the Tigers. Here's Marquise Bolden, and Grayson Allen is coming back in.
Yeah, well, I think in that situation with the, you probably got it retaped, enough adrenaline running through you. You want to get back on the floor as quickly as possible so it doesn't stiffen up. Now, offensively, it shouldn't be a problem, but if I'm an offensive player and Allen is guarding me, I'm going to test him and see how his lateral movement is.
Mitchell on the drive against Bolden. Jackson ahead for Allen. Tatum slides through. Another triple from Jackson.
Well, this is such a huge part of their arsenal, and really a big part of the win against Carolina, that all the threes that they hit in that game, and North Carolina is missing at the free throw line.
Blossom game will draw the foul on the hard baseline take, and it's against Bolden, the freshman from Texas, his first, second on Duke.
Here's the look, and like I said, Jackson is fearless coming in from the line. He's just 37%, so very capable, and really stepped into that with some nice rhythm. West, 27 of their 57 shots the other night were threes, and they made 13 of them.
First free throws of the game belong to Clemson's Jerron Blossom game. 69% on the year. If you take his numbers a year ago and compare them to this year, he's down in just about every category, Mike, but he's also the #1 guy on the scouting report.
Yeah, no question about it. And he's very, very versatile, rebounds for his size very well. It looks like no ill effects there for the ankle. Like I said, offensively, especially, I don't know how much you'll see him drive, but if he can be a standstill jump shooter for a while, it works to his benefit.
There's a little soft driveway jump shot there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Scary. Allen had 7 of 12 from 3 on Thursday. Knocks his first basket down there, and we get an offensive foul on Gabe DeVoe. It'll be DeVoe's first, third on Clemson.
Well, here's the look, and you see you got 3 or 4 guys who will run to the three-point line, and you have to give up one thing or the other. And I think in some instances, Wes, it's almost better to drive them off the three-point line and make them shoot two-point baskets.
Tatum a skip. Crisp ball movement by the Blue Devils. Another one. Nope. Kept alive. Tatum tried to make the save. Did to Mitchell. Clemson trying to get up the floor. Here is Grantham for Blossom game.
I don't know that was an ill-advised attempt to save that basketball, because that turned out to be the first pass in the fast break.
Blue Devils by a basket. 7 minutes and change gone, and Bolden trying to get going from the post scores.
Yeah, he's starting to get some more minutes early on. You see him rounding into shape a little bit. I'm curious to see when Harry Giles makes his first appearance in this first half.
Grantham travels. And here comes Kennard back on the floor for the Blue Devils to spell Tatum. Brad Brownell's team down 4 after their third turnover. And here is Marquise Reed, sophomore transfer from Robert Morris. The only reason Reed of note, he's been in this building before as a Colonial at Robert Morris, and he had 22. So he's not very shy anyway, but he's got the good vibe walking into the.
Yeah, let's see if that traveled with the transfer.
See if he got his papers taken care of.
Yeah, exactly.
Jackson. Oh, another one. Rimmed off. And we'll get a whistle and foul. Bert Smith from out on the perimeter gets Bolden for his second. And that's number 3 on Duke. And Emil Jefferson will spell 6'11" Marquise Bolden. And down 4, Clemson will get the ball back. And you see the former Duke captain John Shire offering a word or two to the rookie.
All 3 of the assistants sitting over there with Mike have all been captains, and won national championships as well. So a common thread there with his staff.
Mitchell tried to feed it to Thomas, deflected, and it will stay with the Tigers. 10 to shoot for Clemson. They're down 4. Grantham, though, finds Blossom Game at the top of the iron. Yeah.
We saw up there, really tough to argue against any of them. And, clearly to this point, Luke Kennard has been Duke's best player this year. And it's just going to be interesting to see how this team evolves as, the whole unit is together and healthy.
And Blossom Game of travel. Turnover number 4 on Clemson.
I believe 3 of them have been traveling calls as well. So Duke's defense getting into them a little bit.
The other one was the shot clock violation.
Yeah, and Wes, especially in this building, you travel on the road and you can't have those self-inflicted wounds. You got to get shots up.
And Grayson Allen and Frank Jackson get caught on the exchange, and the Blue Devils give it right back.
Well, that's pretty good defense right there. Reed reaching in, and any kind of interchange like that of similar size that Clemson's going to switch, but he's able to get a hand in and get the deflection.
4-point Blue Devil lead. DeVoe. Skip out for Reed. And Jefferson got the rebound. The foul on Thomas will be his first, and that's 4 now on Clemson.
And Emil Jefferson is basically playing the middle linebacker out there. He's not having to pay much attention to Thomas, except when the shot goes up to block him off the board, but he's directing the defense and helping where needed.
Well, it goes back, I think, to what we said at the top. He's the most veteran presence, the most veteran voice, and you said this is a good communicating Duke defense.
Well, you know what? You go to a practice, and there's a saying I have, quiet gym is a losing gym. And you can see a good offensive team, but you can hear a good defensive team. And there's always a lot of chatter, and it's always the players. When the coaches have the loudest voice in the practice, that's not a good sign either.
Kennard's 58-3 of the year. His first points today. The lead is 7 now for the Blue Devils.
I think there was a real slight window early on, Wes, for Clemson to take advantage. Duke clearly not into the game. It was that timeout, but they really couldn't get anything done offensively.
Thomas will draw the foul on Jefferson with the drive.
Yeah, here's the spacing, and they talk about the drive and pitch, the unselfishness. You get a team into rotation, and Kennard just a little bit too far out to get to him in time, such as his range.
Elijah Thomas will go to the line. He's 42% on the year. Clemson is 64.5% in conference play at the line. And the big fellow from Dallas, who starts his 5th straight game today, knocks down the first one. Don't forget, you can win a trip to the 2017 ACC tournament. Compliments of Haviland. Airfare accommodations and tickets to every game for you and a guest, all courtesy of Haviland. Enter today at theacc.com/Haviland. 1 of 2 for Thomas, and Blossom Game gets the offensive carob for Clemson. Reed a triple.
Opportunity missed there. It's a rare offensive rebound off of a missed free throw, and that usually leads to an open 3. And again, those are the type of opportunities what you have to take advantage of.
Tigers were 2 of their first 3, Mike. Now 2 of their last 10 from the floor. Trail by 6, and Kennard on the bounce. Thomas the rebound of the rim out.
And he's a 3-level scorer. I mean, he's got the mid-range game. Obviously, we've seen him knock down 3s, and he can get to the rim with his left hand as well.
Grantham against Tatum. Blossom Game with Jefferson ready to help Kennard here.
Look at him. They had 3 sets of eyes on him.
Thomas put it up, draws another foul from Jefferson. Second on Emil Jefferson, 5 on Duke, comes with 9:57 to play. Do you give Blossom Game credit for recognizing here?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to, there's no double team coming right there. So, if you're Jefferson, that was going to be a tough shot anyway. Lay off that, and it's going to allow Harry Giles to come in the game.
So Jefferson will wait on the first of 2 for Thomas. And Elijah Thomas has 6. And here comes Harry Giles. 6'10" freshman from Winston-Salem, averaging 14 minutes a game in conference play. Has played 30 or more minutes, or At 13 of 17 from the floor, 10 minutes the other night against Carolina.
But it's those intangibles with losing Jefferson that we talked about him out of the game, you know, especially in the defensive end of the floor. Now Giles is going to be the one who's going to be backing that up and having to do the talking. I expect Mac Jones to also be more vocal.
6 points, 2 rebounds the other night for Giles. Matt Jones on the wing. 3 away, and it rattles in for Jones.
I always love that play, that little pump fake and then sidestep. It still keeps you behind the three-point line. When you cover out, come out against Duke in rotation, you have to be under control and get a hand up.
5 of Duke's 7 field goals are threes. Jones, the rebound of the Tiger miss. 7-point lead.
Well, we're talking about Avery Holmes, and that's only his second shot of the game, 0 for 2. So they've clearly made it a priority to keep him out of the scoring column.
Allen's runner. And Thomas fires ahead for Grantham. Reed lost his shoe.
Yep. And actually, Thomas was standing on it. Reed was trying to get it. And they now, because of that, they're slow to get into their offense.
7 to shoot here, Mike. Holmes trying to find something. Took contact, put it up. Nothing.
And that's where that plane of verticality is for the defensive player. Kennard not using his arms and moving forward in any motion. He's entitled to that space, as is the offensive player.
Long 2 out front. Elijah Thomas, another rebound. Clemson has gone almost 5 full minutes without a field goal. Remember, they had a drought at the front of the half. Now they've got a little bit of a sequence here where the road's been tough to hoe here for the Tigers. Reed, a crossover, feeds Grantham. How about that?
You know, aside from the turnovers, I think Brad Brownell, if you ask him, would be happy with a lot of the shots that they're getting. They're just not knocking them down.
Nope. Jones, the catch and shoot.
That is the 6th 3 of the game for Duke. It's just putting too much pressure on Clemson to keep up.
Largest lead of the ball game for the Blue Devils. 22-12. 7.5 to go in the opening frame at Cameron on a big Saturday in the ACC.
Double meat and cheese, classic.
Great Jackson with Kennard, Tatum, Giles, and Jones for Coach Krzyzewski. And here is DeVoe. From in front, it bounds away. Boy, Frank Jackson hit 2 triples early. He'd scare the dickens out of me right now, Mike.
And you know, and the good thing is, Wes, that they'd like him to develop into a primary ball handler. You know, that would certainly free up Grayson Allen to do some more things.
Clemson, the turnover of Duke, and here is Blossom game skipping from Mitchell. Clemson's missed their last 6 shots. Make it 7 as Jete misfires.
And a lot of those have been at close range, too. I mean, they've had a couple of threes misfire.
Still a 10-point lead. Kennard. Here's Jackson. Turned over to Grantham. Nothing early. Clemson just needs a basket. They've gone combinations now of about 12 minutes of the nearly, 14 played in scoring droughts. 2 separate sequences.
You can see the attention that Blossom game getting, that Giles coming over, sneaking over for a late double. And they're just getting it out of his hands and making other people beat them.
Meanwhile, the Blue Devils
missing a little bit of an opportunity here to stretch this thing out a little bit more.
10 to shoot. Drive from Kennard off the right wing.
And that would be my scouting report on him, is to make him go to his right hand as much as possible. You know, if a great player is going to beat you, you want him to do it with his weaknesses, not with his strengths.
DeVoe, who's been poisoned from the three-point line. Here's Grantham along two. Blossom gains the stick back, blocked by Giles. A third try, and Jerron Blossom gains second field goal.
Yeah, it's I think generously listed as 6'7", but it's still Wes a really good rebounder, just under 6 a game. Plus he gives them 24 blocks on the season too.
Tigers snap a long scoring drought there with the basket. Tatum knocked DeVoe down, block called on the junior from Shelby. It'll be his second, 5 on Clemson in this first half.
Here's the thing, and Blossom does have a little bit of a size advantage on Jones, but he anticipates the shot, gets inside position, and stays after it. That was a nice second effort by him to after his first attempt was blocked.
Jason Tatum will go to the line, Mike, 85%. These are Duke's first free throws of the day. Blue Devils hit almost 76% in conference play at the line.
Well, they've been taking so many threes, they haven't been putting pressure on the referees to make that call and get to the line.
So this young man out of Chaminade Prep in St. Louis knocks the free throw down.
And certainly not the most heralded of that freshman group that came out, but it's interesting that he's the one that was arguably the healthiest, other than Frank Jackson. But he's the one who's emerged as a go-to guy for this team.
When you say healthiest, and he had to overcome a preseason foot injury, right? So Tatum hits the first. He's got 3, make it 4, and Duke's lead is 10 again.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Frank Jackson becomes a 4-year and eventual they give him the ball and it's his team type of player.
As I told you, I was impressed when he played the way he did early in the year against Kansas at the Garden in New York. Thomas, who's got off to a strong start, trying to regain his momentum at the offensive end, and will draw the first foul of the day on Harry Giles, which is number 6 on Duke.
And Elijah Thomas he's shown a knack of getting to the free throw line now. He's a little bit of a liability there at 42%, but still you like the aggressiveness. And the one thing too that Clemson hasn't gotten since early in the game, Wes, are the runouts. You know, they've been having to play in the half court.
First one good. How about a check of our Honda Top 25, brought to you by Honda dealers of the Carolinas, and of course 5 ACC teams in the mix, including number 4 Louisville, who hosts Miami at the top of the hour today at the KFC Young Center. Carolina has the weekend off there in Raleigh on Wednesday night to meet NC State, and Virginia welcomes Virginia Tech.
And no player more than Elijah Hicks needs that break to get that, try to get that hamstring issue resolved.
Hicks did not play here on Thursday night for the Tar Heels.
I thought May and Bradley filled in admirably for him at that position.
Allen, a deep 3. 8-point lead. We approach 4 minutes to play. Tigers trying to cut into it. Jerron Blossom game's got 5. Elijah Thomas has 9 to lead Clemson.
Wes, this is where Duke is dangerous. The last 4 minutes before the half, you have to watch it. They can go on an explosive run and open the game up.
Duke's gone 4 minutes without a field goal.
You're right. I think to save their legs, at least in the first half, they've been pretty deliberate moving the ball up the floor.
Allen's foul line jumper too strong.
Watching him run, it doesn't look like his gait has changed all that much.
Reed is scoreless. Stays that way. Both schools getting decent looks, Mike. Just can't hit.
Right now, Clemson 5 of 24, just over 20% on the road. That's not going to win many games.
Kennard, an open shot in the paint. He's got 5. Brad Brownell knows you can't leave that good a shooter that wide open either.
Chesney coming back with Emil Jefferson, even with those 2 personal fouls. Critical that he doesn't pick up a third.
Mitchell with 6 to shoot. Spin, scoop, almost. Draws the foul, though. So free throws coming for Clemson out of the timeout. Luke Kennard's got 5, and Duke's lead is 10. Up in their hand.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, if you asked Brad Brownell before the game at the 2-minute mark with Duke with 26 points, would you take that? And I think he'd say yes. But this is again one of those danger zones, and an opportunity maybe for Clemson to get some momentum going into the second half.
First points for Shelton Mitchell come at the line, and there is Brad Brownell out of Evansville, Indiana, former high school teammate with Calbert Chaney.
Yeah, not a bad lineage there. Indiana great. And you can tell the noise level in Cameron, let's say, considerably less than it was on Thursday night.
Yep. Giles. Good pass from Allen. Harry juggled and then double dribble, I think. Yep. So that'll turn it back over. 6 turnovers for Coach Krzyzewski's team here in the first half.
And Harry Giles he's arguing that the ball was hit out of his hand.
8-point game. Clemson without a 3 in the first half. Blossom game launches. Boy, he has struggled from behind the line, Mike. He is over 30% against conference teams, but 27% in the regular season coming in.
And I think that was more of a frustration shot than anything, Wesley. You know, he hadn't gotten many touches in the first half. That was only his 5th shot. One of those he got on an offensive rebound.
Yep. Remember last year he hit 46% against the league from behind that line. Allen, both of his field goals are threes. And a half dozen for Grayson Allen, the lead its largest at 11.
It's just amazing especially with him and Kennard. You see the difference. 0 of 5 from 3 for Clemson and 7 for Duke. But the range that those guys have on their jump shot.
Blossom game lost it on the way up, and all of a sudden it's 3-on-1. Tatum lost it out of bounds, and last touch by the Tigers. It'll stay with the Blue Devils.
An easy opportunity right there. I didn't think there was great spacing on that rush up the floor. They were kind of bunched together and a little bit of a tough pass to catch.
Here's Kennard. Just a moment ago it was 8. Allen's 3 made it 11. Kind of that danger zone you were talking about as we wind down this half. Deep 3 again.
Well, what they're trying to do is keep the ball out of the middle in that play. You saw the guard point, and they forced Allen to go to his right hand and settle for the jump shot rather than get around the screen and get into the middle of the lane.
11 to shoot for the Tigers, who are on the verge of having their worst shooting half and worst scoring half of the year. 3 to shoot, Mitchell. Blocked out of there. Here's Kennard and Duke going the other way. Final possession if they want it to be. Giles tried to shove it back in. Clemson gets a final chance. Five. Grantham at the horn. The runner rattled out. And in one sequence, Mike.
Yeah, there was an opportunity there for Clemson to whittle this thing into single digits, but an opportunity wasted, and Duke the same thing.
Hardy's halftime report coming up. Don't forget, who's the most impactful team player in the ACC? Your chance to vote now live at theacc.com/live vote. Duke, and just a remarkable trip down the history of Duke basketball. We get ready for the second half, and you see number 18 Duke's got an 11-point lead. Clemson was just one of their last 17, and Tom Kasimpa puts together stats for us here today, Mike. If you add up the 3 major Clemson scoring droughts, they win almost 19 collective minutes.
So they're scoring 18 points in 1 minute.
I mean, it's Here's Blossom game to start the second half, and now they've only hit one of their last 18. Boy, what a frustrating day for the Tigers. As you said, can't argue the looks.
Yep, and just, not enough offensive rebounding or scoring and second chance opportunities to overcome that to this point.
Tatum fighting inside, lost it, got it back, score.
I thought he might have over-dribbled a little, but I thought he might have dribbled himself into a turnover that time, but good strong hands and a strong finish.
Largest lead of the game now, 13. For number 18 Duke, 12-1 at home and 5-1 at home against the ACC.
Wes, we talk about the danger zones and Mike Krzyzewski and what he does. It's the last 4 minutes of the first half, and it's the first 4 minutes of the second half.
Mitchell, Thomas, the runner from in front, and Jefferson.
That's a perfect example of what Jefferson does. He helped out on the drive, and then he had the ability to get back and keep Thomas from getting all the way to the rim.
Tatum against Grantham. Poked away, Blossom game. On the recovery, Jones. Dante Grantham pulls it away for the Tigers.
Holmes is a guy. Holmes has not scored in this game, although a good run out that time by Mitchell. But they got to get Avery Holmes. He's the only double-figure scorer they have besides Blossom game, and he's got a donut right now.
Yep. 11-point lead for Duke after the first basket from the floor for Mitchell, and another Duke turnover. Holmes has got Blossom game ahead of him. And he'll back it out and get it to the Vanderbilt transfer, Mitchell. Two Blue Devils there to greet Blossom game. Grantham scoreless so far and remains that way.
Grantham had a great look. Duke came with a double team that time, and it was a great skip pass, which was a terrific way to beat a double team. Coaches get you shots. Players have to make shots.
Allen on the drive. Nice pass. Jefferson's first points.
Yeah, I was curious to see Wes coming out of that timeout. I bet Grayson Allen spent a lot of time on the stationary bike trying to keep that ankle loose so he can come back and play.
Lead back to 13. Thomas backing down the smaller Jefferson, scores with the left hand. He's in double figures.
Yeah, he shows some nice patience. So Duke is choosing not to double team him. They're going to let Jefferson play him one-on-one, and Thomas took advantage of it.
Kennard. Allen with 10 to shoot. Wide open at the front.
You see, you have to be aware of where your man is as well as the ball, and there were a lot of eyes that were locked in on Grayson Allen that time, and Kennard basically able to stick his finger up in the air, see which way the wind was blowing.
14-point lead. Mitchell tries to answer and does. First three of the day for the Tigers comes from Shelton Mitchell.
Mitchell 34%. He's had some flashes, Wes. He's had a career-high 10 assists against Virginia Tech. And then he would come out and he didn't score against the Florida State team.
Yeah. Back to 11. The lead for Duke. Jefferson with Thomas there. And he'll score with the right hand.
I don't see that too often. You get two big guys who aren't getting double teamed going at one another inside. But that's a game, part of Jefferson's game that's really developed. He didn't have a strong low box game when he first came to Duke.
Clemson will have possession of the basketball, but Duke's got a 13-point lead early second half.
Tailgating is.
But Jefferson able to screen the player, and that really freed up Grayson Allen to go all the way to the rim. Jackson a little slow and recovering on the play, but then now you see movement without the basketball. Allen in constant motion. They drive him off the three-point line, but what does he do? He makes a play by drawing Elijah Thomas, and Emil Jefferson gets an easy layup.
Duke's 4 of 5 from the floor here in the second half. Clemson will have the basketball out of the timeout on a busy Saturday in the ACC. 6 games on the slate, 1 already in the books, and that's Wake Forest beating North Carolina State over in Winston-Salem by 30.
That's a shocking score to me.
Yep. John Collins, by the way, 23 points for Danny Manning's team, who's at Clemson on Tuesday night.
And that puts Wake at 6 and 7 now on the year, right in the mix in that middle.
Mitchell recovers and scores. Boy, Shelton Mitchell has provided 6 second-half points, or 7 second-half points of his 9 here for Clemson. He and Thomas have done all the Tiger scoring so far. Here is Allen. No lingering effects of that twisted ankle in the first half either, Mike. Grayson. Kick out for Tatum's 3. And Marquise Reed.
And they continue to be pretty deliberate in their offense, Wes, and then running down the shot clock just about every possession.
Blossom game with Tatum defending. Too strong. Jeté, the basket and the foul on Jefferson. And that'll be Emile Jefferson's 3rd. So a little life on the Tigers here.
Well, Jeté did a nice job of pushing in on the weak side and anticipating where that shot was going to miss, and nothing really that Jefferson could have done, because he's given away some size. He has to block him out farther away from the basket.
Early call by Durham. It was tagged on Luke Kennard, Mike, not Emile Jefferson. So Duke maybe dodged a bit of a bullet there.
Yeah, that only Kennard's 2nd personal foul.
Right. Free throw good. 3-point trip for Jeté, and Clemson's now within 8. And poked away. Blossom game with Allen to beat. Layup good. 7 for Blossom game.
You get a turnover out front like that, and it shows you the versatility of Blossom game, not just an offensive player, but just kind of a clean pick out in the open floor, and Luke Kennard gets about 20 seconds rest, and he's coming back into the game.
Jackson. Jefferson stripped of it by Reed. Clemson on a 7-0 run.
They just look more active offensively.
And Holmes draws the Allen foul. His 2nd, number 2 on Duke.
You get live ball turnovers at half court, and this is an automatic 2. And Allen trying to get back into the play, but Blossom game doing a nice job of shielding himself off. And maybe this is the thing that gets Avery Holmes some rhythm today. He has not scored. That's his 1st point.
5-point game after the free throw there. Don't forget the 2017 New York Life ACC tournament is headed to Brooklyn. First round action starts at noon on Tuesday, March the 7th. All 14 games. Full coverage on the ACC network, including the championship in prime time on Saturday night at Barclays Center.
Boy, you think we've seen some wild results during the course of the regular season. How about during the tournament?
I was just thinking the same thing. Might want to lock in on Tuesday. Kennard. And a hand check foul on Gabe DeVoe will be his 3rd. First player in the ball game with 3, and that's number 1 on Clemson here in the 2nd half. Brad Brownell. Soft litigation at the Tiger bench. Kennard. On the drive. Back for Jefferson. And Blossom game the foul. And the and 1 chance for Emile Jefferson.
And how many times have we seen that, Wes, of Emile Jefferson playing off other guys, whether it's drives or rotation? He just lingers around the basket and makes himself available, and that's a pretty nice wraparound around Jeté just to even find him, and then the good finish.
Well, the 5th-year senior from Philadelphia, 23 years of age, who is, Mike, I think you capsuled it perfectly in the first half. This is the voice of the team. And this is the guy who, when he went down with that injury after twisting an ankle against Boston College, it affected Duke in games at Florida State and so forth.
Yeah, well, they had to go to Louisville and to Florida State. Right. And here's one of your front line guys. So 2 bad teams to have that happen against. And then fortunes changed when he came back. And, people saw Wes going back to last year when he had that season-ending injury, how it affected them over the course of the season.
No question. 3rd foul on Luke Kennard. Battling Jeté. So still a 6-point Duke lead. Clemson's done a nice job building some momentum here, but Tigers still a couple possessions back.
Kennard now switched out the Blossom game to try to get him the ball in the post.
Out front is Blossom game. On the drive, off the glass, too strong.
You see, Kennard had to back off him on that play. I mean, that was not a challenged shot. That was just a missed shot. And you can't afford to be over-aggressive defensively.
Jackson's floater. He's got 8. The lead is 8. And a timeout asked for by Brad Brownell.
Here's that last look, and Jackson getting off of the pick and roll and inside. A fearless score.
Went Stackhouse on Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it's an incredible move using the rim to his advantage. He has those kind of ups, and for Blossom game today, it's been a tough shooting night, or afternoon, but defensively getting out, getting that steal. He does have 9 rebounds though, Wes, so he's doing other things despite not shooting the ball well.
Our Ram Power Play brought to you by Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram.
This is the one thing that Clemson has done too. Duke only 1 of 3 from behind the arc in this second half.
Reed. Little whirling dervish at the post.
Yep.
First field goal for Marquise Reed. Tigers not going away, Mike, after just a horrible shooting half in the opening 20.
Well, they look like they're playing with a lot more confidence out on the floor. Their body language, I think it started on the defensive end and it's translated into the offense.
Kennard to double figures on his 4th field goal.
Yeah, so difficult to stop because we talked about his ability to shoot at 3 different levels, and you cut off the drive, and he's got that ability to stop on a dime and knock the mid-range shot down.
Mitchell on the drive, and 1 coming for Shelton Mitchell. He's got 9.5. Chance for double figures after the foul called here on Frank Jackson. 6-point game in Cameron. Of Raycom Sports, also streaming live now on the ACC.com and on the official ACC mobile app. And today's coverage of ACC basketball being broadcast on AFN, the American Forces Network. We welcome the nearly 1 million men and women of the Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines stationed around the globe protecting our freedom. We're so proud to have you with us and hope you're enjoying today's broadcast from Cameron, where the 3-point trip is complete by Mitchell. He's having quite a half, Mike, now with 10 of his 12.
They needed another scorer to step up, Wes, and I think they should just keep pounding, either working the post inside or getting to the lane because their straight line drives have been terrific.
And Kennard fouled by Thomas. That's his 2nd, 3rd on the Tigers here in the half. And it'll be a baseline throw in for Duke.
And Duke, to this point, despite that foul, has only been to the free throw line, Wes, 3 times in this game.
Both teams shooting at a pretty high level. Duke's just 7 of 9. Jones
almost got put in a bad way by Jackson. He had a tightrope it just to keep the ball in bounds.
A little ballet move along the baseline. Jefferson. He's got 6 here in the second half. DeVoe, the rebound of the miss. Mitchell. Thomas finishes with the 2-hand dunk.
Well, it hasn't happened early, but Elijah Thomas has shown the ability to beat Duke down the floor and get a couple of dunks in this game.
Tigers to within 3. 9 minutes gone here in the second half. Tatum a catch and shoot. DeVoe another rebound. What's he doing in there?
They've gone smaller with 3 guards out on the floor. Blossom game is at the 4 position.
Here's DeVoe shooting the lane, scores on the scoop.
Well, there's just a whole different body language now for this Clemson Tiger team, and Mike Krzyzewski going to call a timeout.
1-point game with 10.5 to go here at Cameron Indoor Stadium, and the Hall of Fame head coach not happy.
Here's the look, and just nothing more upsetting to him than getting beaten down the floor in transition, especially by a big.
Tigers have hit 4 straight from the floor. Thomas and then DeVoe a moment ago. It's a 7-0 run for Brad Brownell's team to draw to within a point. Don't forget, we're celebrating the 35th anniversary of Raycom Sports broadcasting ACC football and basketball. Let's go back to 2008, downtown Charlotte, ACC semifinals. The 3 seed, the Tigers, beat the 2 seed Duke 78-74. Little breakaway for KC Rivers. And then Trevor Booker finished with 18. Cairo, Georgia's Cliff Hammonds had 17. And Oliver Purnell's Tigers went to the title game where they lost the next day to North Carolina. You can be in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center for the 2017 New York Life ACC Tournament. You got a chance to win. Enter, win a travel voucher, hotel accommodations, and tickets at theacc.com/VIP.
And that was as blistering a timeout as I've seen Mike Krzyzewski give in a long time.
DeVoe, the rebound, stepped on the inline. It'll stay with Duke in a new shot clock. Clemson trailing by 1. The Tigers haven't led today since it was 6-5 early. And Allen fouled by Blossom game. That's his second. 4 on Clemson here in the second half.
Both teams with 14 fouls, Wes, so they got a ways to go before they get into the penalty.
Outside of Clemson shooting better, Mike, what have you noticed here in the second 20 minutes?
They're taking away the 3-point shot from Duke. I think that's this. You know, I talked about the 7 out of 14 makes. They're only 1 of 4 in the second half.
Yeah, that make by Kennard.
That plus straight line drives, the ability to get to the basket, and second chance points and turnovers.
Stolen by Reed, and he'll dunk Clemson to the lead.
Incredible turnover, and Mike Krzyzewski now the jacket comes off, and game is on at this point. It looks like to me, West, too, Duke has lost a little of their swagger playing.
Kennard tries to put the Blue Devils back in front. 13 in the game, 8.5. And Coach K, who turned 70 on Monday.
Well, he's single-handedly trying to get this crowd back into the game. It had been awfully quiet for a long time.
Reed had it blocked. Jefferson, Mitchell scoop. Ties the game.
Boy, Mitchell has been a difference maker in the second half.
Well, the Cameron crowd that was so vital to the Blue Devils' momentum on Thursday night now back at full throat.
Here's the look, and they've been so opportunistic, Wes, about where they're getting their turnovers. They've cut in between guys who are crossing. A way to cover that play up, and kind of an unnecessary foul that time by Elijah Thomas. I mean, he had his guy go, he stepped out to show on a screen and had his man going laterally, but picked up the foul, so they now lose some offense with Jate coming into the game.
Clemson's hit 6 of their last 7 from the floor. Ball game tied. Kennard again.
Well, he single-handedly took over the game at Wake Forest. I mean, that's a game the Deacons should have won, but it was Kennard in the second half that led the good timeout by Brad Brownell to calm things down.
He's got 16 today, 4 threes for the sophomore Luke Kennard. Third best scorer in the ACC, G-Man, and he's hitting the money shots right now.
Well, and when he scores over 20 points, Wes, he averages 26 in those games, and he shoots 60%, and you can see right there just nailing it. So it was first the undressing of the players by Mike Krzyzewski, then the undressing of Mike Krzyzewski, and then now Luke Kennard that's gotten this crowd going again.
He's got Duke's last 8 points, does Kennard. And now under 9 to go in the ball game. And Clemson, who suffered through a horrible shooting first half where they were 5 of 28 for 17.9%. Mike, they're clipping it off at 60% here in the second half.
12 of 20, 4 of 4 from the line, and have managed up until the last two, they'd made 1 of 2 threes. So let's see how they react to this timeout and how they execute and answer, Wes.
Clemson's got 1 timeout left, Duke with 2. DeVoe, 10 to shoot. Tried to get it to Jete, turned it over to Jones.
See, again, Jefferson can play center field with Jete out on the floor, not treating him as a scoring threat.
10 in a row for Kennard.
Tell you, he's, my book, for a player of the year candidate at this point.
Absolutely. Lead is 5. Mitchell pushes it up and scores for the Tigers. What a second half for Mitchell, who had 2 at the break.
Shelton Mitchell coming in, averaging 8 points a game, shooting 40% from the floor on the year. Good afternoon for him to step up and arrive.
Duke by 3. Kennard with 10 in a row. And he's got a chance to add to it after he draws the foul on the drive there. A couple of free throws when we come back after a word from your local ACC station.
Well, they needed a spark from somewhere, Wes, and they got it going down to the defensive end. But Kennard's been their go-to guy all season long. We talked about the game over at Wake Forest, and he has rallied them up to this point in the second half to regain the lead and a chance to widen it with a couple of free throws.
4th best free throw shooter in the ACC. And that is just his 18th miss in 117 attempts, 116 attempts.
I hated when it got quiet at the free throw line. I always wanted some noise. It was almost more distracting than having people yelling.
Got the back end, did Kennard. $19 for him. Duke lead 4. Reed drew the contact. Jefferson the foul.
His 4th. Oh, only 3rd. Sorry, I said they took that one and gave the other one to Kennard.
That's right.
But he does a nice job of going in and Reed drawing the play going right at his body.
Marquise Reed is 26 of 29 at the line against the conference. And that one is good. He's the 2nd best free throw shooter at 89% in conference, or in regular season totals. He's got 5 all in the second half today.
West Clemson is doing this with Avery Holmes, their second leading scorer, only 2 points to this point in the game.
Yep. But Mitchell has joined Blossom game, and Thomas has got a career high today.
Yep.
Right?
Yep, double figures for him.
Kennard high off the glass. Mitchell the rebound, 2 on 3. Shelton, no fear. Missed the layup, tried to make the save. Could not, it'll go to the Blue Devils.
Well, I think Mitchell probably should have had a little fear on that play. He didn't have numbers. It was a little bit of a forced layup. Probably should have pulled it back and waited for the secondary break to develop. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you talked about Elijah Thomas, Wes, that start seeing a little offense for defense under the 4-minute mark with Jete and him.
Yeah. City is in there now, the senior from Senegal. Kennard off the Jefferson screen.
Well, Clemson's really paying a lot of attention to Kennard.
And a foul called after the loose ball exchange.
That's going to be the 7th team foul. I think it will put Duke at the 1-1.
That's Blossom game's 3rd. Brad Brownell, with 6:58 to go, now watches Duke go to the free throw line. And here is, as we told you a moment ago, the 4th best shooter in the conference at the stripe. And Mike, here you go. Jete out on the dead ball and Thomas in, with Clemson awaiting possession.
And he's been very effective. And if I'm maybe on this possession right now, it'd be a good time to get him in touch, see if you can get that extra foul on Jefferson. And it's talk about the big misses of 1-and-1 from one of the best free throw shooters in the conference.
Yep. 2-point game. Reed. Baseline. Skip across Grantham. Now Thomas with 3 to shoot and a foul on Tatum.
And that's a mismatch. And what they're doing now, Wes, they've actually moved Jefferson over to Grantham to hide him a little bit defensively, and that puts Tatum undersized guarding the center.
16 foul on Duke. And a new shot clock for the Tigers. Mitchell trying to get it to Blossom game, but Jones is one of the best defenders in the league.
Well, and Jefferson playing behind him as well, too, so it's in effect a double team without the pass.
Here's Reed with 8 to shoot. He'll rise and fire. Air ball. And it will go out of bounds to Duke. Mike, they looked off Thomas, who'd been playing well with his back to the basket at the block.
Yeah, I didn't understand that one, Wes. That's a good call. I mean, he's been so effective at either scoring or drawing fouls. And then he and Blossom game just had a little back and forth.
Yep. Tatum. Inside Kennard. Bothered, and Grantham draws the foul.
So that was a great use of the screen. Almost a little bit of a flex screen underneath by Jefferson. Let's see if Kennard can regain his confidence. You know, especially when you shoot at that high level and you miss a couple of shots, it really gets into your head.
First on the junior, Grantham. Kennard's got 11 straight points for Duke, make it 12. But he has missed 2 free throws in his first 4 tries, and that's breaking news.
I tell you, you got the guy who's been quiet too in the second half, Grayson Allen.
You're right. No points, Mike. And only 6 total. 4-point lead for Duke. We go under 6 to play. Thomas at distance. Drives Jefferson and draws the foul.
That's now his 4th, and that's a little surprising. You know, you didn't know the big fella had that kind of handle. He had been doing most of his work in the low block, but understanding that Jefferson had 3, he just took it right at him from well above the free throw line.
So 1-1 for Thomas, who transferred in from Texas A&M.
And it doesn't look like the Duke bench looking anywhere to sub for him. They're going to trust Jefferson to play with 4 personal fouls.
Front rim miss of the 1-1, so now each school's missed the front end of 1-1s.
Right, and that's the thing, you know, if you had the fouls to give, I mean, that's the guy that you want to put in that situation at 42% of the line.
Yep. Clemson 14 of 17 at the line today. Foul on Grantham out on the perimeter.
And Grayson Allen going to be shooting some free throws. And what there was is, again, it was a pick-the-picker play. And caught Grantham. All he can do, Allen moves very well without the ball, and all he could do was grab his shirt.
Well, Allen, who lit this building up the other night with 25, including 7 triples against the Tar Heels. Just 2 of 9 today for a half dozen. And rimmed out the free throw.
2 missed, you know, those missed 1-and-1s add up. It's like an empty trip down the floor.
Clemson trails 4. Thomas at the block. There's Blossom game. Tried to reverse step on Jones. Now trapped and turned over out of 3 Blue Devils. Allen.
Run some clock now. They didn't have anything. It was pretty good defensive transition, even off of the turnover by Clemson.
Jefferson. Tatum has only 1 field goal in the second half.
That's a foul on Reed.
Yeah.
You know, as one of the points of emphasis, and here it is, and this is just terrific defense by Matt Jones, getting the hand right there, and then after that, you get the double team and you get the turnover. But the referees want more freedom of movement, and there's just been a lot of grabbing and holding by Clemson in these last couple of possessions.
10 fouls now on the Tigers, so 2 shots for Kennard. Well, he's already missed 2 today, Mike. That might carry him for another month, right? The way he shoots them. Oh, Luke's mom living and dying on every swing today. He made the first one, so she'll duck, and he makes the next one too.
Well, since he's made the last 2, I doubt she's going to be looking for the rest of the game.
I'm with you on that one. Now he'll come out with Duke up 6 and 4:42 to play.
Well, I think Mike Krzyzewski trying to get him to the under 4, TV timeout, give him a little extra rest right now.
Grantham on the bounce. Too strong. He is scoreless today for the Tigers.
And he's been another either-or guy for Clemson over this last stretch. He's capable of scoring double figures, Wes, and he's capable of going away as well.
Jefferson. Here's Tatum. On the drive. 1 on the shot clock, blocked, and a violation, but they'll play on as Clemson's got it. Reed for Grantham.
Mike Krzyzewski wanted that play called dead because of the shot clock violation.
And Jones commits the foul. 8 on Duke. First on the senior from DeSoto, Texas. Back in a moment. On the West Campus.
With Clemson shooting free throws, Wes, you look at, Duke's 7 of 11, but 2 of those misses were on the front end of the 1-on-1, so instead of 4 for 4, possibly, they're 0 for 2, so leaving points like that on the line with this type of game is dangerous.
Mitchell knocks down the free throw. He's had the second half performance now, 17 points in the game, 15 in the second half for Shelton Mitchell. He almost single-handedly put Clemson back in contention here, but seems to be catching Mike at both ends of the floor. 1 of 2 at the line. Front end misses on 1-and-1s. No continuity in the free throw game for either school as we wind down. Duke's gone about 5 minutes without a field goal. Luke Kennard's got their last 15 points.
And they've really been locked in on him over these last few possessions.
Here's Allen. Fouled by Reed. That'll be his second.
If you're tuning in late, early in this game, Grayson Allen rolled his ankle pretty well, but has come back, and that would have been a tough shot to make. He really got bailed out by the foul.
That's the front end of the 1-and-1, as you mentioned a moment ago. Kennard did as well, and then Elijah Thomas had the trick for Clemson. 7 now for Allen on his first free throw. Grayson's dad in from the Jacksonville area. Seeing the junior step back to the stripe and punch it in. 8 now for Allen. 7-point game, Mike.
Yeah, let's see now. They played with a lot of confidence, Clemson, at this point, and now you're in the meat of the game right here. Mitchell has been your guy.
Reed. Fall away on Tatum.
Yeah, I think that's a bailout right now. They've had success, and Duke doing a little bit better job driving those or guarding the straight line drives, but I think they settled for a jump shot on that possession.
Blue Devils up 7 under 3 to play. Kennard a triple.
That's a zone by Clemson. There was a risky move against a team that can shoot like this.
Grantham. And now finally it'll settle with Mitchell. Over Tatum. Bangs home the 3.
It was interesting. Tatum was trying to dictate where to send Mitchell, and he just saw nobody looking at him. He rose up from the 3.
Mitchell's got a career-high 20.
And averaging 8 points, and you put 20 up on the board with the game still going on.
Kennard for Jefferson.
I don't know, he
10 to
was
shoot.
expecting that pass.
How about Tatum? 9 in the game. A big triple in the final 2 minutes.
And I thought about 3 minutes ago he looked pretty gassed, Wes, and it's a big-time shot to rise up from the three to still have your legs to do that.
Crossover of Allen. Thomas the offensive rebound and the score. And the Tigers will take their final timeout with 1:43 to go. Down 5 on Elijah Thomas's stick back. He's got 15, but Jason Tatum's three-pointer here a moment ago.
Yeah, this is the lookout, and they're really, Blossomgame had really dug into the lane and just couldn't recover to him in time, not respecting Tatum's ability to knock down threes, even though he's only 31% from there.
Well, join us again Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. We'll be in.
I ain't calling Vegas for the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's remarkable the competitiveness of this league.
Yeah. Home. It's tough to win away this year. That's so if they learned one thing.
Well, home teams have won 2/3 of conference games, but 30% of the games in conference play have been 5 or less or overtime.
There we have Jete in for defensive purposes, and Clemson still sticking with it. It's an extended 1-3-1 zone.
We got a 5-point game here. Less than 90 seconds to go and 10 to shoot for Jefferson. Allen for 3. Tatum mistimed the chance.
Yeah, there was nobody. He they took one extra step and the ball went over his fingertips.
Mitchell on the drive and one. Allen the foul, his third, 9 on Duke.
Well, this is this look. We've talked about it. Straight line drives. They've been able to get by him, and Grayson Allen just giving him an angle to the rim.
And a chance to make it a 2-point game with 70 seconds left. Clemson has not won in this building since early January 1995. Duke's won the last 16 and 26 of the last 27 against the Tigers.
Interesting now, Clemson going back to the man-to-man. I thought that zone was pretty effective for them, Wes.
Allen again. Back for Tatum. Skips it across for Jones. 8 to shoot, now Kennard. And Jete the foul. His third. Kennard will get a couple of free throws.
And Brad Brownell really upset, but you know what Kennard does great, and this is what you do. When the big man shows, you dribble right at him trying to pick up the foul, and that's what Kennard does. You never go at the guard, always go right at the big.
So here is Kennard at the line. 5 of 7 today. First one good. And now with 43.9 left to go, Mike. 24 for Kennard, by the way. 6th time he's had 20 or more against the league. Brad Brownell's got to be concerned with possessions. Kennard makes his 2-possession game.
Yep, and but I still think you can play the foul game and extend. And if I'm Clemson, I'm still attacking at this point. Maybe you get an old-fashioned 3-point play and stop the clock as well. So I wouldn't be looking for bombs right now. There's still plenty of time.
Reed against Kennard. Drive and score. 8 for Reed all in the second half. 2-point lead again. About a 6.5-second differential. Shot clock to game clock as we wind down at Cameron.
The only thing here for Clemson, you get the shot, you've got to defensive rebound the ball. You can't give up an offensive rebound in another possession.
Here's Allen, 8 to shoot. Skips for Jackson. And it's tapped around. Thomas the rebound. And deflected by Kennard. Out of bounds with 6.2. Remember, Clemson's out of timeouts here. Mike Krzyzewski doesn't appear like he's going to burn one. He just gets his veteran senior Emil Jefferson ready.
Well, Jete coming in, it looked like he's a screener. I'm going to give it to the hot hand and let Mitchell bring the ball up the floor. But you know what, Wes, in this situation, I'm on the road. I'll go for the win. I'd go for the 3 at this point.
4 3-point shooters and Jete on the floor. Inbounds to City. Turns, tried to get it to Reed and Kennard.
He spent more time in the bleachers than a lot of the fans have today.
And he sold out trying to make the play there. Well, now Grantham's got a spot throw in here.
Yep,
in front of the scores table, not a lot of room.
Yep, it's a tough place to get it in, and then 2 seconds off the clock.
Yep. Inbounds, 3 seconds. Here's Mitchell. 2, 1. Jete the screen. Mitchell tried to put it up. No whistle.
You know what happened on that play, Wes? He got the ball going the wrong way. He needed to turn the corner and have it headed up the floor.
Well, Clemson loses for a 3rd straight time. The Tigers have been involved in 7 conference games of 5 or less or overtime, Mike.
Yeah, I know. It's just got to be heartbreaking for them. And you could see the frustration right there by Shelton Mitchell, who had an extraordinary game.
Our performance of the game brought to you by your local Chevy dealers. The sophomore from Franklin, Ohio. Special again today. His 6th game against the ACC of 20 or more. 25 for Luke Kennard. Always great to be with Mike Jaminski and another wonderful Saturday of ACC basketball.
Yeah, it just shows you that this Duke team, you talked about the hangover effect. I think you saw it right there. Give Clemson all the credit in the world. They gave them all they wanted.
For our producer, Dave Berenger, our director, Billy McCoy, and our great crew, West Durham reminding you for highlights and must-see moments from this game and others, check out theACC.com. You've been watching coverage of Atlantic Coast Conference basketball on the ACC Network, an exclusive production of Raycom Sports.